Should we be recording in this electric storm? This will make a really great episode. It's like pouring cats and dogs. It's absolutely insane. I came up to this hilltop area, and there's a couple other cars parked up here and some people running in the rain. It's pretty crazy. It's absolutely pouring, huge flashes of lightning. I saw a tree that was like split in half. This might be the end of the world. This could be our last Petroma Therapy episode. I hope our subscribers are listening. I hope your friends will subscribe. We're coming to you live from a huge electrical storm in Dallas, Texas. Today is the 3-year anniversary of Petroma Therapy, and we thought we would start recording Petroma Therapy in dangerous places, like high on a hilltop with a lightning storm, in the middle of a river while canoeing, rafting, possibly from a bunker. Are you in your cell right now? Have they locked you in?
Yeah, I'm back in my office, totally safe. Only I'm getting a little bit of anxiety because you are apparently under fire.
Well, it's exciting. You know, I feel like, the purpose of living is to just kind of be in a sort of an adrenaline rush most of the time. No, I was actually going to go out this morning and go to the community garden and, you pay a membership because I don't have a yard at my apartment complex. So you pay a membership and you can plant vegetables and flowers. So I was going to go over there, get some gas, cut some vegetables, then come back home. And then I thought, well, then we were going to record an episode called Accents, like different type of the ways people talk, whether it's like a Texas accent or a New York accent or a California accent. And then all of a sudden, it started raining, and I thought, well, let me go take a picture by the lake. It was just raining. And then I saw huge flashes of lightning, so now I'm driving on the street trying to take pictures of flashing lightning with my camera, held outside of the car. And it was a pretty exciting morning.
Tell me more about your community garden. I mean, I'm completely novice in that stuff, but I love spending time in night. Okay.
Well, I did want to mention that our cover shot shows a tray. It's a wooden tray that has some floral and some animal motifs on it, and it is actually a tray that is came from Russia, and somebody who knows somebody from the Bronx who has Russian ancestors, brought me that tray. But to connect Accents with the community garden, a lot of people are downsizing. They're selling their big homes. Maybe their kids have moved out, or maybe they haven't bought a home yet, and they still like to garden. So around Dallas, especially in East Dallas, maybe on the backside of a church property or on the backside of a restaurant. They call them plots, but when I use the word plot, I often think of like a coffin or someplace where you're going to get buried. But anyhow, you can get these plots and you pay $75 a year, maybe $50 a year. And your plot is number 13 or your plot is number 5. So there might be 15 of these raised beds where you can put in stalks that vines will grow on. So you can plant squash, you can plant tomatoes. Some people plant herbs, rosemary and thyme and mint. And then there's a few areas where it's free to the community. So let's suppose somebody is not a paying member, but they just want to wander by and cut some mint to feed to their rabbit. They can go by and feed that. So the idea is that the community takes care of itself and takes care of its members. And I love to go to the community garden, and you can water there. They have big hoses and a lot of little tools you can dig with, and they have picnic tables. It's great.
And you have membership? Because like community gardens, they have membership. I didn't know that because I thought only the gym, my gym have membership, and it's only
right. Well, there's all kinds of memberships. There's memberships to. Oh, you can get a membership to a Mexican restaurant eating club. You go around and try all the Mexican restaurants. You can get a membership to a writers group where you go around and you sit and you write different things in different settings. You can get a membership to a watercolor society. Somebody's in charge of it, and they say, okay, $25 a month, and we're going to tell you where we're going to be. We're all going to like hang out and paint, and we're going to bring snacks and have fun. So the community garden is on the property that belongs to, I think it belongs to it's on the back of a Methodist and a Catholic church, back behind the parking lot, and it's huge. They also have a chicken coop, and they also have little bowls that dogs can wander by and have a drink of water, and they have all kinds of stuff. So what you do is you see a phone number. It says, call Pauline, and then there's a phone number there. You call up Pauline or whoever it is, and you say, I'd like to have a membership. And she said, well, let's go over there and see which one you like. And I'll say, oh, number 15 looks good. I see that nobody's planted anything there. And she goes, well, okay. And then you meet her and you give her a check, or you just do PayPal or Venmo or something. And then, now you have your little piece of land to dig on. And a lot of people come out on Saturday mornings, and they'll bring lemonade or they'll bring cookies, and 2-3 other people are digging around their garden. So it's a way to do community building.
I love how you say that. I cannot call. I wish I could call Pauline. For no apparent reason, I love the name, and I would have called Pauline, and she would talk to me and ask me questions. I somehow feel that could be a therapeutic community gardening. Do you find it therapeutic?
Oh yes, and actually Pauline is one of my aliases. So, I have a lot of aliases. No, I have.
So Pauline. You meant you when you said they call Pauline. Pauline is you.
No, I'm saying I just unconsciously put a name up there. But I'm saying my father's name was Powell, Powell. He's originally from Wales, through Ohio. But for a while, sometimes I would go check into a hotel or go someplace with my daughters or go do something, and I didn't want to use my regular name, so I would just write down on the register Pauline Powell. I thought it sounded lovely, Pauline Powell. Yeah, it sounds
lovely. Absolutely.
But anyhow,
we don't have middle names.
You don't have a middle name?
Mm-mm.
Well, remember once I asked you if you thought you had an angel, and you said yes. And I said, what do you think your angel's name was? And what did you say?
Gabriel?
Michael? Yeah. Gabriel, no? See? I think
I don't remember that. I made it up right now. I couldn't remember.
That was exactly right. So your initials would be RGS. So you could get cufflinks engraved. You can get monogram towels. You know how women always want to make men do things like wear cufflinks and get monogram towels and stuff like that?
I don't know that. Tell me about that. Teach me about women.
No, I'm saying, when my daughter graduated from law school and her boyfriend were graduating from law school, they were not engaged yet, but they were going to be engaged. And I got them these amazing briefcases because they were graduating from NYU Law, these super expensive, beautiful briefcases. And, when I told my daughter I was getting them that, she goes, Mom, we don't use briefcases. Like, we're hipster lawyers. We're going to use canvas bags. So they've been living in New York, being young and fun. And they didn't want to use these fabulous leather briefcases. They were nice briefcases. They were soft, not like scary hard ones. But anyhow, so for my, it became my son-in-law. I think that's when he graduated from law school, or maybe when they got engaged. I got some cufflinks and I had them engraved with his initials. And I thought that a real man would have cufflinks and a shirt with a collar. That is a definition of a real man. He must have cufflinks and a
I
shirt
mean,
with a collar.
collared shirt by a shirt with a collar. You did mean collared shirt, right?
Shirt with a collar.
Is
Yeah,
that the
yeah. I
same?
mean, instead of a
'Cause we don't-
T-shirt, like some people just wear
Collared
T-shirts
shirt.
all the time, and I don't
Mhm.
consider them real men. Those are just T-shirt guys.
Okay. Okay, is the storm over?
The storm is over. The air is very, very fresh, and I think oh wow, I'm rolling down my window and I didn't die. You know, it's
Is it safe?
always a good day to be alive. Now they're cutting the grass.
Is it safe to drive?
In Dallas, it's never
No,
safe
I mean
to
right
drive.
now,
if you
the
don't-
storm is over. You can drive a heavy storm. Now, is it safe to drive into, I don't know.
No,
into
because
wherever?
the streets are wet, streets will be flooded because around where I am, there's a lot of hills and there's a lot of construction. So the water hasn't drained off. So everyone will be like smashing into each other and hurrying to get to work. And it'll be like a flipping nightmare. Best thing to do is for me to sit here and talk about accents. So what kind
You know
of
what?
accents do you like?
Japanese. How about that?
Can you get, how about that?
Because I read that book, Haruki Murakami. You ever heard of him? I'm not sure you ever heard of him, but maybe you have. And he said, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in, but of course in Japanese.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm imagining what would he say if he would have said that in English, probably with Japanese accent.
Well, I like that saying. I do feel different. I feel refreshed, and I'm also happy to be alive. It was scary because I came up to this point, and I thought, well, that it has a beautiful house. Actually, this was actually a Japanese internment camp back in the day after the war, and there was anti-Japanese sentiment in the United States, and they were concerned about Japanese being in America. So they actually rounded up, Japanese people that were probably very innocent, and they put them in camps. So this property that I'm on right now used to be used as a Japanese internment camp, and then it was built by I think Roosevelt was I can't remember who was the president at the time, but part of the history of this area is that it was like a public works program. I guess it was after the Depression, and they're putting people back to work by fixing roads and cutting down trees and doing stuff. So
you said Roosevelt. I remember that episode from Friends, which you haven't watched, and Chandler asked Monica, or someone else asked Chandler, that, do you have a history of mental illness? And he says no, but my parents, they voted for Dukakis. I didn't know the punchline. I mean, I didn't, because I'm not American.
Say it more slowly, because I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, he was asked if he has
history of mental illness.
History of mental illness in his family line, and he said no. But then he paused and said, but my parents or grandparents, I don't remember, they voted for Dukakis, and everybody laughed. I don't know why. Probably because
Dukakis was a political candidate who ran for office, not successfully. So it's a joke only if you knew about American politics and who was running against who during the time. But Dukakis, was a. And
I like the name. It sounds like very Italian, and they what's made Ducati? Very such made. They make bikes.
I think I thought he was of Greek origin, but I don't really know. I know that the United States is filled with immigrant families who have come to different parts of the United States. First of all, on the East Coast, and I have Italian ancestors who left Lago di Como area, and because there was like a famine going on, and they went to Bremen. They got on a boat, and then they came to Veracruz, which is now Mexico. Then they got on wagons and came up through Mexico into what was Mexico and Texas. So what's his name? The provincial governor of Mexico granted land to anybody that would come and just settle and fight with the Indians. So my Italian ancestors, Biasioli and Maltini and Chapa, those are the Italians from Lago di Como, and I'm actually part Italian. Well, what is your ethnic origin?
I have no idea, really. Maybe I'm part Chinese or
I don't
not.
think so.
Because my grandparents, they come partially from that Mongolia region. You know what Mongolia is, the country between Russia and China. That's where Genghis Khan, I think, originated. I'm not sure, but he was a Mongol, and there is a country, Mongolia. So anyway.
Well, yeah, I like that whole area. I have a former sister-in-law who, I learned cooking from a lot of different people, but these three of them sisters-in-law were very good cooks. And one of the dishes that I love to make is called Cherkez tavuk, which is a shredded chicken breast and walnuts and olive oil. And it has like a little bit of red pepper on it, but it comes from the Circassian Mountains. Is that right?
Circassian Mountains?
Caucasus. No, it's Caucasus. I don't know. Anyhow,
yeah, Caucasus.
The features of that part of the family is much more like Mongolia, as opposed, they don't exactly look like Turks. Turks look differently. So you're part Mongolian. You might be Chinese.
You ever heard about Genghis Khan? Genghis Khan, maybe, in your language.
Yes, I love all the Khans and the czars and the emperors. I'm all about rulers.
Yeah, he was
Genghis
Khan, or the king of the Mongols.
Yes, and he's okay. I think Charlemagne, like Charles Le Magne, Charles the Great, Charlemagne. He was in France being Charlemagne. Anyhow, I think that Genghis Khan sent elephants to Charlemagne. I think that's amazing. I would love for someone to send me elephants. Have you ever heard that story?
No, there are no elephants in Mongolia.
Well, he got the elephants from some other place. Maybe it was like a circus or something.
What?
No, they're like the elephants were crossing the Alps as he was going around, conquering. He would like gather up stuff like women and gold and land and elephants and tigers and bears.
No, I'm not that fond of an elephant, and I wouldn't be excited if someone sent me one. I don't know. Why would you?
I don't want the elephant. I just love the idea of extravagant gifts like designer watches and
it's because women they love high status men, and the elephants obviously could have been sent only by high status men. That's why perhaps consciously you're probably looking for someone like Genghis Khan, and like the idea of an elephant.
I can't really find them in Dallas. In Dallas, people just drive trucks and have guns and drink a lot of beer.
But they have jaguars instead of elephants.
Well, I like high status men, but I'm also afraid of them. That's why I can't date them. It's a confusing. No, the thing is,
you're afraid of.
I'm not afraid of much. I don't like jalapenos. What else do I not? I don't like dogs to jump on me and claw my legs with their claws. Dogs should stay far away from me and just sit on a bench or run in a field. Well, no, it's interesting when you travel around different parts of the United States what people think status and class is. I know that up in New York, you can see everything, like in Washington Square Park or Union Square, or there's people playing chess, there's people playing violins, there's people playing pianos. Like the city life is, and I know in Moscow and in Boston and in Paris, the city life is rich with all different kinds of people and all different types of accents. And you can hear different sorts of languages. Like when you lived in Boston, what other than English, what other languages did you hear being spoken around there?
Well, I lived with a family where lived the Japanese girl and the guy from Switzerland, the guy from Italy, Mario. Shout out to Mario. Also, he doesn't remember me for sure. I don't know how he came up in my conversation with you. I almost forgotten about him too, but now I remember him as though it was yesterday. So there was a few guys from some other countries, I don't remember. Oh, the one was from Ukraine. Yeah, my countryman almost. And, well, from Soviet Union, former, okay. What's the difference between former and ex? Oh, no, maybe, yeah. Like
Ex is more...
Ex-military
No.
and former military. Is there a difference?
No, you would never say my former husband. You just say my ex. Ex is more casual. Or if you would say, like, my last job was at Houston Community College, means former. So the word former is a higher level in the like language has a range. At the very bottom is cussing and slang. Up at the very top is standard academic English. Like if I'm saying, if I'm at an interview and someone's asking me, well, tell us about your former position. And I'll say, well, when I was at Houston Community College, I taught composition and I taught American literature and I taught world literature. So that's how I would speak in the language I would choose if I was at a job interview. But suppose I'm just talking with some friends who also used to teach there, and we're at a bar, we're all drinking. And they'll say, like, how did you like working at that place? And I would say, that place was effed up. So you would never say that. You would never use the word effed up. But ex, ex means ex. He's my ex, as in done, over, finished with that. With a little anger in your voice.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear you.
Well, I want to talk about the Bronx. I was up in New York, and there's a lot of people that go to NYU Law, and some of them are on scholarships. Like my daughter was, we had found some scholarship money, so she took a little bit with her, $40,000 up to law school, and she had a very good friend who was also at NYU Law, and her name was Jess, and her family was from the Bronx, and the Bronx is known as a little bit rougher. It's not like Harlem. Like now Harlem has become hipster, but Harlem is, traditional African American Harlem Renaissance and all that. But anyhow, so Jess's family was from the Bronx, and the picture on this our cover shop that says Accents is this tray that Jess had given to my daughter, which she then gave to me because she knows I like pretty things from around the world. And Jess's family, I believe, were Russian Jews who immigrated to New York, some generations ago, and they actually speak in Russian, and they make potato soup and do Russian things.
Is it hard to explain? Can you tell someone is from the Bronx or Harlem? I don't know. Can you imitate it for me to have an idea?
Well, Harlem is where Langston Hughes and like County Cullen. Harlem is, the black American city.
Yeah. But can you imitate it? Like say today is 13th of June 2023 in Harlem accent.
No, because right now there isn't a Harlem accent.
Okay.
But there's a Bronx, and also there's a Jersey accent, like Jersey boys, like Jersey. You go into
I love accents. I love accents. It's like
Yeah,
music
like
to
if
my
you,
ears. When you talk to
yeah,
people and you can pick up their accents, you immediately have an idea of what, I mean, what his background and everything or her. And it's
well,
because I'm
yeah,
not native speaker, it's always interesting.
well, Jersey is considered not so swanky as New York and Manhattan, but Jersey has great food, and Jersey is the birthplace of Bruce Springsteen and you know uh, Rudy Valley, and I mean accents are so interesting because you can just be in line at a pastry shop, or you can be in line at a little import store, and all of a sudden you hear somebody. I was up in Portland, Oregon in February, and I was at this little patisserie, little bakery place, and I was standing in line with my daughter and the little girls, and I saw these guys, and I kept thinking, like, those guys are totally Turkish. I can spot them a mile off. I can spot lawyers also. But anyhow, my daughter goes like, "Mom," and then I knew that they were Turkish because how they were dressed, how their beard was, how their hair was, and how close they stand together. From people in different cultures will have different distances of standing together. So I just walked by them as if I was going to go get a napkin, and I just said to them, "Acaba Türkçe konuşacak mısın?" And they looked at me, and they spoke back to me in Turkish, and they go, "Gosh, they said, you speak Turkish." So it was just I like accents. Do you know what I mean about different people stand at different distances? Like when you were in Boston, did people stand close to you or did they stand far apart? I'm not talking about the pandemic. I'm just talking about how close were they to you when they're speaking to you? The space
Normal
between
kind of
you.
close. I mean, there is no special limits. Like before the social distancing thing, everybody stands. Like you do not have to invite the privacy bubble or personal bubble.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know how
yeah.
it's called. You don't have to subconsciously. You know where it starts or where it ends. You do not invite other person the bubble or
Well, see,
boundaries.
in Texas, we're known as a very hospitable. We're very friendly. We help each other. In Texas, we'll stand a lot closer, and a guy might pat another guy on the back, or people might do a high five, like a fist bump with their fists. So the personal space between Texans is a lot closer than, for example, I have known some families from Kosovo and Serbia and some Muslim folks that a man does not stand very close to a woman because that means something, and so the space between.
Exactly. I remember when I approached a woman like, too close, and she said, "Oh, personal bubble invasion," or something like that, and I had to step back.
Yeah, and we're not aware of this. I just know that with the war in Kosovo, there was a lot of refugees that came out of to the United States. Some family came into Houston, and our church, St. Cecilia, sponsored a refugee family. And as an American, we're looking at the paperwork, and it says you're going to get this family, Hafiz and his family. So for Americans, a family means like a husband and wife, 2, 3 kids. Oh no, Hafiz's family was like 21 people. The grandmother, the cousins, the nephews. So it was a very wealthy church, and we sponsored this family, and I learned. I mean, I knew Turkish, and we're supposed to have a translator, but I just remember that space was very, very different. So our Texans at my church wanted to hug and to greet the family members, welcoming them to Texas because we're their sponsors. And some of them were really puzzled to have these women hugging everyone. Like some of these teenage guys were like baffled. These like fabulously beautiful women were like hugging them. They were like having an anxiety attack. But I just learned about personal space, and I remember Tunjat Geta is hello in the language that they speak in Kosovo. Tunjat Geta. Tunjat Geta. How are you doing? Tunjat
Well,
Geta.
in Kosovo they speak Albanian, I guess, no?
Yeah, that's right, Albanian. Yeah, I couldn't exactly remember the words, but yeah, I like languages, and
My personal
if I
space differs by culture. I
yes,
Absolutely, Asian cultures are the opposite of what you have in the US. And in Asia, you have to stand larger from each other. But
more
if
distant.
you're in Mexico, you have to exactly Mexican cultures or Spanish, Latin, I don't know how to define this. They tend to have a much smaller personal space. But
Right. Well,
what's
yeah,
your
I would.
space? I mean, do you have a space that you require to be empty of other people?
Depends on
Like
where
one
I
foot?
am. No, no, no,
Okay,
no. No, I'm just like saying this for our subscribers, of course. If you're if you're going in for an interview, and several people are interviewing you, and you're seated at a chair, do you or do you not stand and shake their hands first? I would go in and I would shake hands, and then I would sit down. Some other people might walk in and just sit down. Or if I'm going into a bar and it's crowded and the people I know are at a high top table and we're like all 4 inches from each other, then that's how close it is. Or if I'm going to a museum or an opening at a museum, there's cocktails over at this table and little snacks at that table, and everyone's wandering around looking amazing, and you don't want to get too close to someone who's like studying the painting. You don't want to invade his space because the guy is like contemplating the painting, but you might go a little bit closer and say, "Don't you love those lines?" And then the guy might say, "You're invading my personal space." But I don't know. I think I mentioned in the last episode, I went into this coffee shop to meet these people who I had met previously. And I just walked, they were sitting at a common table, which means not everybody knew each other. And there were some little private tables around, and people were getting their coffee or their scone or whatever. And I go, "Hi." All I said was hi. I was standing, and the guy goes, "I'm texting." And so the way he said it made me understand like I had invaded his space by just saying hi. Like, you can get slapped around if you invade people's space. It's brutal.
maybe he didn't understand you. Because, I mean, though
What do you
Southern
mean you
accent
didn't
is
understand me? I
I mean,
said
your
hi.
accent, maybe you spoke with an accent and had to understand the Southern accent. For some people, not to me. I understand it
Hi.
perfectly.
I saw him a week ago. His name was Bob. I go, "Hi, Bob." That's all I said. "Hi, Bob." And
Yeah,
he's
but
British. He looked up and he goes, "I'm texting."
maybe he misunderstood you. Not that I'm advocating what he done, but
Why are you
anyway.
defending him?
Well, because I still hope that there is hope. I
For
mean,
what? For Bob and
that
me?
he's
No hope.
innocent. He didn't
He's
want
not
to.
innocent. He's rude.
Yeah, but maybe that's what it seemed to you at the time. But maybe that's not uh, the thing. Okay, let's not talk about the offense, Bob. Let's
Well,
talk about
another thing,
Bostonian accent. You ever heard about how they speak in Boston?
Boston, yes.
Yeah, the hardest
It's a
accent to
Boston.
understand, right?
It is very different. It is very different. And also you can tell when people are from the north and people are from the south, because in the north, if suppose I wanted to get a Coca-Cola, or if I wanted to get it in the south, some part of the United States would say, "I want a soda." Some people say, "I want a cola," and some people say, "I'm going to stop and get some pop." So the actual
But
same thing.
those are words. Those are words. But I'm talking about the music. When they say
The
something
language.
in
Yeah.
Jamaica, it's different, though it's in English. You can use the same words, but they'll sound different.
Yeah, like the island. Yeah.
Yeah, Ireland is
The island.
Ireland. Or
The island.
in Scotland, you would have said, Ireland. You have to come to
Irland.
my Ireland. Say something
Yeah.
with Italian accent.
Molto piacere.
No, in English.
Massimo De Angelis with an Italian
Okay,
accent.
in English with an Italian accent, yes. Like you've come from Italy and you try to speak English. How would that sound?
Oh gosh. Only thing I know how to do is talk about food and flirt with guys. I don't, I don't really know. I don't really know what to say.
Um,
No, like I don't know. Like I wouldn't know how to do that. Like, I know words in Italian, like bambino is baby, and mille mille grazie. I mean, I don't know. I think I told you once there was an Italian bishop that came to this parish in Houston. He was Italian, and he was giving his sermon, and somebody was translating it. And then afterwards, there was going to be a little reception, and then everyone was hanging around the foyer before they went to the reception. And I thought, well, let me just go up and shake this guy's hand and like welcome him to Houston. And I don't really know much Italian, but I put my right hand on my heart and kind of bowed my head a little bit. I go, mille, mille, grazie. And he thought that I spoke Italian, but I don't speak Italian. But what did I say to him? Mille, mille, grazie.
well,
Benvenuto.
that's easy. Yeah, mille mille grazie means thank you very much.
Well, you know German. How did you learn German?
It's cool. Yeah, because
Escuela?
well, the primary school is over, so you had to start languages, and two was mandatory, English and German. Or maybe it was just one, and the another I studied after. I don't remember. Yeah, in school it was one. Exactly. You start to learn German or foreign languages at age 10, I guess.
Right.
And yeah, I guess that's it. That's how I learned German.
Deutsch.
Also, you have to practice. I mean, learn is define learn because you may learn it at school, but then totally forget by age 40.
That's true. And also, I have noticed with languages, this is just something I observed. I don't know if it's a theory or not, but in the brain, like right now we're speaking in English. So English is my primary language. And French used to be my secondary language. So I would always, my brain would go English, then not English, it goes to French. But then when I started living in Turkey and traveling in Turkey and talking Turkish all the time, even though I had studied French for many, many years and I knew it really, really well, when I would go to speak, my brain would go English, click, not English, and go to Turkish. And it was very hard for me to retrieve French. Does that make sense? Like, what is your natural language?
My mother language is Russian.
Yeah. Okay. What language are you thinking in right now?
Sometimes it's easier to think in English, especially in sort of situation where you have to be extremely polite. It's easier to also, English is interesting because by polite you can express like mortal intentions. It would seem polite from the outside, but the
Oh yeah, yes, the
would have
subtle.
been totally different. Like thank you, and you put the bullet into man's brain, right? But you never say thank you in Russian and then kill somebody. Just it's typically English.
Well, you know the movie The Godfather that has Marlon Brando and Al Pacino and all those guys. Like, I think that's such an interesting depiction of the culture and like the family and not revenge, but getting, standing up for your family and getting back at people who have harmed your family. And, you might send somebody a horse's head, or you might say, kill someone right after they just ate dinner. So some of those cultural nuances, I understand what you're saying. There's also in Turkish, there is a root is like doldu, doldu. Doldu means full or round. So dolma is like a rounded grape leaf that's stuffed with raisins and rice. Or a dolmush is a taxi that everybody stuff themselves in. Or like tamamoldu, like tamamoldu means like, oh my God, I'm like so finished and fed up. So there's some words that just, or doydum means like, oh, I'm like, let's suppose we were eating with a family that we're friends, some family and friends, and you just lean back and go, "Oh, doi dum," chuk tisha. So you would say certain things after the meal is over. And, in Texas, people would say, like, well, that was mighty fine eating. Mighty fine eating. That's different than, doi dum chuk tisha.
Yeah.
How would you say it in German if you were with a whole bunch of people eating like sausage or schnitzel or drinking beer and everyone, like the woman or whoever prepared the food? What would you say? How would you say thank you to the family that prepared the food?
Danke schön is normal for saying thank you in German, but usually you say bon appetit or guten Appetit. That would cover it all. You don't have to say specifically to the family you're eating with something like a prayer.
Would it be before or after? Would it be before or after you eat? Would you say that to whoever doing the cooking?
Guten Appetit just before the dinner, and Danke schön after.
Right.
No special rules. Hey, I'm sorry, it's nice chatting to you, but I guess my conference room has been invaded by some kind of zombie colleagues, and I was gonna say something smart to you, but now I don't remember it.
I think you can remember it.
Hey, I was gonna ask you if I can use your 2 messages, voicemails, for our episode, for the beginning, where the heavy rain was. You kind of cried for help, and I didn't know what to do. Can I use them instead of
use those?
As the starter?
Yeah, put those and then add the one when the storm's over. I think that would be very, very nice because the storm has passed, and we hope everyone has a blessed day. Ciao
I
for
think
now.
like maybe in the future you can just record these messages in the unusual situations you find yourself in. Even if I'm not around, you just record them and we'll use them in the next episode. That would be fine.
That sounds great. It sounds like a good idea.
Absolutely. Also, I created a song the other day, but I'm too shy to sing it now. Maybe next time.
What do you mean you're too shy?
Well, I've never sang a song before on record, only off record. I mean, always off record. But that was the first one I ever composed, and I thought, what if I'm like one of those geniuses, late bloomers, who can become crazy poet at the end of their life, and or singers like Jay-Z, Jay-Z. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Tell you about that the next time. I gotta go. I really have to go.
Okay. Ciao.
Okay. Stay safe. Bye.